CSS3 tricks, sliding buttons.
Hello, and in this video I'm just going to talk to you about how to make some CSS3 really cool sliding buttons. So to start off with, I've just created an index.html document, and I've also created a style.css document as well, and they're completely empty. I'm presuming you have previous knowledge of HTML and CSS before watching this video, and hence I'm probably not going to cover everything I do like down to the exact details, but hopefully, if you have experience in HTML and CSS, you should be able to pick up what I'm doing pretty easily. So to start off with, I'm just going to use little macro I have in Text Expander just to give me a basic HTML5 style layout. It isn't completely HTML5, but it's modern HTML layout, you might want to say. And I'll just delete that. And I'm going to go into my style document, and I'm just going to create a basic CSS. So just quickly run through this. We have an HTML doc type, which is the HTML5 doc type. Then we obviously have our HTML tags. We have our head section with our char set, author, which I've just put under my name, and let's just change this to sliding buttons. And then we link our style sheet, which let's just change that path to style.css. And we have a body section with a container division, which has nothing in. I guess it's just right high. And it's just fresh to page, and we can see here we go, it's just a basic rounded corner division. If I quickly just step you through the CSS, we have our body, which has a background of DDF. We're using Myriad Pro or Helvetica, or if it comes down to it, sans serif, with this font size, this line height. And then we have a container with min width, background color, margin to make it centered. We have automatic left and right margins, and then we have some padding, and we have our rounded corners in WebKit, Gecko, and in regular CSS3. So let's go ahead and start this. Now, the way I want to do this is I want to do this as semantically as possible. And if you want to see the finished product, by the way, just skip to the end of this video. I'm not going to bother showing you it now and then like deleting it all and recreating it. I think it'd be better if you could just skip to the end so you can see exactly what you're going to be able to create rather than something I've created, pre-video. So in the container, let's just go ahead and do an anchor tag for a link. So themeforest.net, for example, and let's just go in there and type in themeforest. So, as I've said, I want to do this really semantically, so I'm going to try and base it all around the anchor tag, because that's the link tag. It would make sense if that then links to something else, hence button, link, it all makes sense. So let's just go ahead and wrap a div around this as well. So div ID equals, I don't know, buttons, and then we can end that div as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and apply some basic styling. So buttons, is that what I called it? I believe it is. Buttons, yep. And we want buttons A to first of all display block. And as you probably know, the anchor tags are inline elements, and because we're basically going to want to turn them into buttons, we have to make them display block to make them into block elements. And let's give them a height of 100 pixels. And a width of, let's just say, the width isn't really important, this is just personal preference, so I'm going to go with, let's go through, that might be too much, let's go 300 pixels, I'll just do it. And also I want to set the overflow to hidden. Now this is really important for the sliding effect, so if I just quickly set a background as well, whoops, and let's set that to, let's just give it a quick color so we can see what's happening. Here we go, so we have our very basic anchor tag. It's a block element, and so we've got this square with a width and height, and it has our anchor text in there. So let's just go back to this, and let's change things around a bit. First of all, let's change this background to something a bit nicer. I can't really think of a nice color right now. I'm primarily a developer, not a designer, so colors aren't totally my thing, but let's just say B22. Ugh, it's not quite what I wanted. Maybe A22. Oh, it's gone. I just realized I'm going to want a higher number, aren't I? D22. Come on, D22. You'll do the job. You're not brilliant, but that'll do. And in fact, while we're here, I want the theme forest text to be a little bit bigger, a little bit bolder, and it kind of is a heading, so it would only be semantically right to give it a heading tag. Let's just give it H6. And while we're here, let's give it some styling as well. So buttons, H6, and I want the colour to be white. Ugh. I've only recently got my Mac, so doing the hash symbol is a bit annoying for me, since they removed the hash symbol from the regular keyboard. Anywho, colour white. Let's just go ahead and copy this up here, and maybe 2. And we want the line height to be equal to the height of our block, since then that's going to make it exactly centered. And to avoid problems, let's also set the margin to 0, padding to 0. How's that look? Looks pretty good. We've still got that horrible underline, so let's just set text. In fact, no, that's not going to be in the H6, is it? That's going to be in the A. Text decoration, none. And also, I think it'd be nice if the H6 was all uppercase, so let's go text transform, uppercase. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. Let's also just go ahead and align it to center, and let's, in fact, we probably want the whole division to be aligned center. Here we go, and there was another thing I was going to do. Ah yeah, text shadow. So let's just go to basic text shadow of black with 1 pixel offsets and 1 pixel blur. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. Rounded corners would really make this look quite nice as well, so let's just go ahead and add those in. Was that what I put it under? Yeah, okay, so again, that's just another little text expander thing I've got. And taking pictures should do the job. So we just have WebKit border radius, Gecko border radius, and regular CSS3 border radius. Okay, it's looking cool. And one last little design touch before we kind of move on. Let's add a white border. Cool, I think that's looking quite nice indeed. So we have our basics set up, and the markup is really simple. We just have buttons division, then we have our anchor tag, and inside we have an H6. Now, next, let's go ahead and actually create a division in here, and this is going to be the text that displays once we roll over our button. So, check out our theme forest account. Should do the job. And because the overflow is hidden, this shouldn't display in here immediately, so we can't actually see it. Although, if we go ahead and view the source, we can see it is here. So, to fix this, well, you could say fix, it's not really fixing anything because there's nothing broken, but let's go ahead and just say buttons a hover, and when this happens we want the yep, that's cool, and we want the A to have a margin top of minus 100 pixels, so whenever we hover over it the main text is going to go whoop. But I've just realised we don't actually want the A, we want the H6 because that's the main text. So when we hover over our block, the header 6 is just going to fly up 100 pixels, which is the whole height of our block. So it should completely go off. There we go, see, we're starting to have basic functionality already. So we hover over it, it flies up, and our division then comes into place. Check out our theme forest account. So let's also, in fact no, we'll do that last of all. Let's quickly put some styling on this. So buttons, div, and let's set the color to white, and background to, let's set it to 00585F. Okay, that looks quite cool. Obviously we need to just go ahead and set the height of this because that's nowhere near high enough. Okay, so now it's kind of working out some more. That's looking very nice. Let's also apply a line height just to get this centered. So we're on 100 pixels. And awesome. Now that's pretty much the main functionality we're looking for. Also note, I'm testing this in Safari, and you'll see sometimes it cuts off these edges. I don't quite know why that is. It doesn't really do this if I do it in Chrome, and it also works in Firefox and some other browsers. Yeah, so let's continue. And what I want to do is, instead of just having this really jumpy effect where you hover over it and it just goes and jumps through, which is what it's going to do in some older browsers before we add this next piece of code. So it actually does degrade very nicely. Graceful degradation is the correct phrase. But we want to add some transitions to this, so let's go ahead to our to the H6, and again, text expander saves the day. Let's just set this 0.5, and linear would probably be more appropriate. And let's just try that. There we go. That's a lot better, not so jumpy. Now that's a bit slow for my liking. Let's just put that down to 0.4 on all of these. Again, by the way, this is just WebKit, Gecko, and Opera and CSS3 transition. And this takes the thing that's going to cause the transition to happen, the timing, and the type. So linear is the type I decide is going to look best, and ease out, ease in are other options, and there are various options you can choose from. So that should look a little bit better. It does indeed. Note that we've got all. In this case, we could probably just change this to margin top. So the H6 will basically, whenever the H6 margin top is changed, it'll cause this transition to happen. So if we do it like that, that should function exactly the same. Yeah, it does. But I like having all because if we have any other effects we want to add on, that's going to take the same transition. So, what else can we add to this? Let's add it so the bottom bit kind of fades in a bit, because, I don't know, I have a feeling that'll look nice. Also, still a bit slow for me. Let's change this to 0.3. So if we say, when you hover over the H6, we want the opacity to be 0. So let's make this bit fade out as well, and then, well, of course the opacity is 1, so we need to specify that. So now that should kind of fade out. Yep, so now that bit fades out, and I want the bottom bit to fade in as well. So let's just copy this. Oops. And to target the div, and let's set its opacity to 1, and over here opacity to 0. So all we're doing now, the division normally has an opacity of 0, so it's invisible, but if you hover over the div, then it has an opacity of 1, and we're also going to need to apply the transitions to the div, like that. Okay, cool. So top bit fades out, bottom bit fades in. Very nice indeed. I think perhaps if we put this down to 0.2 for the fade in, it might look a bit better. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I've also decided I don't really like the H6 fading out. I prefer if the H6 just kind of just looked like it was going off the screen. So let's change this back and just remove that. There we go. So that looks really nice, and that's pretty much the effect we're trying to achieve. Let's quickly play around with the backgrounds of these as well, because we have the background set to D22, which is an okay color. It's not the best color in the world, but let's change this, because if we have multiple buttons, that could become problematic. Or, of course, we could just set classes to them, but I prefer not to do that. So what we can do is we can use the nth child pseudo class, and that's just going to basically find whatever child. So we could find the first child, the second child, or the third child. So we just look inside the button division, find the whatever child, which is an anchor tag. So we want the first child to have this background that we've specified like that, and that should now look exactly the same. It doesn't. That's interesting. What have I done? So button A, nth child 1 background. That should work. Just give me a second. I've probably screwed something up. Oh, okay. I wrote button instead of buttons. That was my fatal flaw there. Okay. So, Let's just copy this a few times, and let's say the second one of these button things is going to have the following background, and the third is going to have the following background. So let's just change this, maybe 2D2, and then 22D. And then let's just copy this markup to create second and third children. And for now, I guess they can just be all the same, or we could change them. So maybe one's going to link to Twitter. Check out our Twitter account, and one might lead to Audio Jungle. Can't spell today. There we go. Check out our Audio Jungle account. So let's try that. And we have Theme Forest, Twitter, Audio Jungle. They're not particularly nice. Well, I glitched up for a second there. They're not particularly nice colours, but they do for demonstration purposes, I suppose. Maybe we could edit them slightly. Perhaps E, and then if we up these to 4, I don't know. That doesn't look much better. Put these down to A, make it less. No, okay, let's keep it like that then, I guess. Oh, not very nice colours. Obviously, you're probably going to want to customize these with your own colours. And while we're here, let's make the A's just go ahead and float left so they all are in one line. I mean, that's just about fitting in a container. And let's give them a margin. Have we already? No, we haven't already specified the margin for them. So 0 pixels, 5 pixels, let's just say. That's just too much for my container. What's the container? Let's increase your width to 960. That's a bit better. So here we go, now they all fit in one line, and we have multiple buttons which say different things, and the markup is very nice, semantic, and structured. So that's pretty much the main result of a sliding button. Hopefully you understand that. I guess I'll quickly go through it with you. So markup, we have buttons div, we have our anchor tags which link to the different URLs that we want that particular button to link to. Then inside the anchor tag, because we've changed it to block in the CSS, which we'll go over in a minute, we have an H6 which displays the first text before we hover over it or roll over it, whatever. And we made that an H6 because we thought that would be semantically right. I guess we could put it in anything, maybe a span or something. And then we also have a div which contains the content we want to appear after we've hovered over. And this just repeats for all these guys as well. And then we go into our CSS and we say if it's the first child, set the background to E44. If it's the second child, set the background to 4E4. If it's the third child, set the background to 44E. And then we go to our A element and we set the display to block because we want it to be blocked for this particular usage. Then we can set the height and width. And the width isn't so important. We could probably change this if we wanted fairly easily, and that wouldn't make much of a difference. Yep, that's going to work exactly the same. However, the height is important because we use it down here with negative numbers. So then we set our overflow to hidden, so anything outside of it isn't going to display. Text decoration to none because we didn't like the underline on the links. Then we do some border radius for rounded corners. We set a little white border on each of the buttons. We float left to make them all display in line, and then we give them a bit of margin so they separate out when they're displaying in line. So then we have our H6, which remembers the text before we hover over it, and we just set the color to white. We give the margin and padding 0 to avoid like problems with default H6 browser padding margins. And then we set our font to Maria Pro or Helvetica, or if it comes down to it, sans serif, at 2ems and at 100 pixels line height. And remember, the line height is 100 pixels so that it's exactly centered within our block anchor tag. Then we transform it to uppercase because I thought that looked nice. We set a text shadow, 1 pixel X, 1 pixel Y, and 1 pixel blur at black. And then we give our CSS3 transition property, we give it all instead of margin top, which we could have given it, although we couldn't give it margin top if we wanted to have the fade effect that we did earlier on. And then we give it this timing, and then we give it the type of linear. And not only do we do that for the pure CSS3, but also for the WebKit vendor prefix, the Gecko vendor prefix, and the Opera vendor prefix. Then we go on to our the div, which is the one that displays the content after we've hovered over. And the opacity starts at 0, the color of the text is white, the height is 100 pixels, so it can exactly fill the place of the H6. And then the background is this kind of bluish color that we came up with. The line height is 100 pixels to make it perfectly centered. And then we have, again, this transition effect, same to the one up here, apart from we have lower timings. And then we have our button hover, and we set the H6 on that to a margin top of minus 100 pixels, and that's just the height of our block, because that's going to make it fly up out of the division, because we have the overflow on hidden. So that's why it doesn't like appear above our anchor block or anything like that. And then also when we hover, we want to set the division's opacity to 1. And then because of the transition, that's going to slowly step into and fade into the opacity of 1, which is how we achieve this effect. So let's just refresh this so it looks a bit better. And obviously there are loads of other things you could do with this. So if you wanted the H6 to perhaps have a margin left of minus like 1000, and then div could have the margin top of minus 100, then you get this kind of I don't know, you see what I mean, it kind of flies to the left and then goes up. There are loads and loads of different effects you can achieve using these same kind of concepts. So that's the end of this video. Hopefully you enjoy the sliding buttons. I'm guessing you're going to want to change your colors, but they are a very nice effect, and they work cross-browser, and they do very nicely degrade for the older browsers. So that's the end of this video. Have a nice day.